Hi, we're here with another Kerekt Conversation, and today I'm with a friend of mine who I have known since I was 19 years old. He's very dear to me. He's a spiritual advisor, travels the world and speaks and lectures. He is an author of many books. The one in the United States here that's very popular is Living in the Spiritual Zone. And his name is Gary Quinn. Gary, thank you so much.
Hey, Toni, great to see you.
For allowing us to come into your home
You're
and,
welcome.
Spend a moment to chat with you. This Kerekt Conversation is always going to cover a wide variety of topics in reference to people choosing a consciously proactive, preventative lifestyle.
Well, I think people, I get to travel the world and I see that the consciousness has changed, and it's slowly changing with food, energy, mind, body, spirit. So they're connecting the dots, but food is becoming a big shift in especially Italy. I went to 3 of the top vegan restaurants, which are very popular in Milan.
Yeah.
It's changing in Japan. It's changing, which is great because it's almost like, people need to wake up.
Yes, so let's go back. This is all about you right now.
Okay.
Mr. Personal Life Coach to the stars. I want to ask you as a child, what did you eat growing up? Like, what was on the dinner table on a regular basis?
I was fortunate because my grandmother had a health food store. It was called
I did not know that.
She was called the Sunny Shop. And I remember as a kid, I was probably 6 or 7, and I used to go after school to the Sunny Shop, and we weren't allowed to eat sugar. She had this brown bread that was organic, and I remember my mom was always conscious of what we were eating. My grandmother was more veggie links because that's what she was selling in the store, and she was a total advocate of Jack LaLanne. So she was always talking about Jack LaLanne when I was 7, 8 years old. And later on, when I was 32, I got to meet him on a street in Hollywood on La Presa, which was just, he was moving, and so it was just synchronicity. But I remember that I was always conscious of health. Also because my uncles created a food company called Food for Life.
Yes.
So they made the Ezekiel bread, and my Uncle
This
Max.
is your family?
This is my family.
No, Gary, I did not know this.
This is my Uncle Max, who's passed, but when we were little, we didn't live here. We used to come and visit them, and he started this bakery in the food for the Chalk of Nuts, or food for the one on Magnolia.
Yes.
And so I remember we were always having to eat the bread, which was nice because it was all natural and whole grain and that kind of thing. So I was around it for years.
I did not know that because I've been eating that bread for years, obviously.
The Ezekiel muffins, the tortillas.
The sprouted and everything. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. Since you were brought up, obviously, in a very healthy environment, this question is going to be very interesting for me to hear your answer. Of these 3 words, which word would you say you took control of your life consciously as an adult? Body, mind, or spirit? Which came first for you?
I think body came first because I was training for the Olympic swimming when I was 7, and I started to do, I was first of all confused in what I wanted to do, so I think the swimming focused me, and I started getting into swimming for fun, and then I became obsessed in the sport, and then I wanted to train with the best, which I had the opportunity of training with Mark Spitz's coach, Sherm Shavor, and then in my late teens, I came down to Orange County to train with Mark Schubert of Mission Viejo Nadadoras, but I was still conscious of food. I never really ate, I would say, bad if I did, because I had to live with certain kinds of various families when I was training. I wouldn't eat the food. I would go out and buy my own kind of thing at lunchtime instead of eating, the steak and potatoes and everything that they ate.
Right.
I'm not saying I didn't ever eat it, but as I started to grow older and older, I started to say, okay, I know what's right.
All right, so obviously the coach, Mark Spitz's coach, is somebody who was maybe a continued catalyst on your journey for conscious choices.
Yeah.
So was it a person, or was it was it an incident? Was it a goal? What was it? The catalyst.
I think the catalyst was that I was an athlete training. I wanted to be the best. So we were forced to make choices, meaning eating right, sleeping enough, making sure we were eating the right kind of foods to have the edge, the competition edge. So I was very aware what I was eating. I never went to parties hardly. I always was training and stayed home, and was always, that was my life until I was in my 20s. So then as I became older and then came to Los Angeles, the next catalyst was Mary Lou Henner, because at the time when I was working with her, she became macrobiotic, and I became macrobiotic with her. Health, she started exercising with Jane Fonda, so I would organize Jane Fonda's person to come during the lunchtime.
So you were in the whole thick of that movement of
and
health and exercising.
I would go to the restaurants. I would order from Inaka, and I would Jay would make a plate on show night. And
Did you go to East West Gardens as well?
Yes.
On Melrose.
Yes, because my friend had an antique shop right there, so I used to go to that place. And there were not many places back then, but that was another catalyst, Mary Lou. We did it together, and then when I stopped dairy for 2 years, and then I introduced it again, I couldn't eat it.
Wow.
And I still do not do dairy.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, so if you had to choose one word right now to describe your relationship with your health and your conscious choices to continue that way of living, what would that one word be?
I would say evolved wisdom.
Wasn't that 2 words?
Well, how about wisdom?
Okay.
Wisdom.
I was just getting hard.
No, I think because I'm always loving to read up on what's the latest. Right now I'm taking coconut oil because I found so many articles about the effects of that kind of nutritional value of it. So I always love to go and find magazines that have information, or go and find the latest thing. Even when I go to other countries, I find other health, nutritional things that we don't necessarily have here.
Well, I think it goes right hand in hand, the idea of the evolved wisdom, meaning you never stop learning.
Right.
Right. You always want to stay open.
And also because our food is so tainted, with various chemicals, and we need to be conscious about organics and the evolution of food, and how the GMOs and how everybody's got their hands in it, and it's not really natural.
No.
So.
All right, so you're a personal life coach, a spiritual personal life coach.
Right.
You aid people in actually trying to be conscious about the choices they make, and you come at it from the body, the mind, the spirit, all angles. But if you personally had to choose anybody in the world as a personal life coach, who would this person be?
I would say the Dalai Lama. Just because there's such a purity or an energy of there's no tainted sort of intention of him with expectation. It would just be very flowing, very naturally, really coming from the heart with no, nothing predestined or preset. It would just be, okay, this is great.
So it's very fluid.
The
constant thing is
just
change,
the
and
constant of being in that frequency. I think when people start to move in the mind, body, spirit, the frequency has to be in tune, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And once those components are all together, then that's when this kind of universal spiritual divine energy of their body starts to glow. You can eat various organics and great food, but if the consciousness is negative, that food is not going to connect to your...
It doesn't get utilized
your
the way
nutrients.
you might want it.
Yeah, your nutrient. You're going to starve yourself emotionally and physically, because it's a negative force. So you have to work at all three. But I think the main fact is you are what you eat.
Yes, of course. I mean, this is what connected you and I. One of the things that connected you and I when we met 32 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a long time. All right, here's another question for you. If time, money, or skill were not an issue in your life, all three of those were not an issue, and you had the opportunity to implement something new that you've been wanting to do to continue this conscious, proactive, preventative lifestyle that you live, what would that thing be?
I think one of the things that I've always had the intention to do is to create a center where you would actually have spiritual classes, spiritual consciousness about eating, almost like a bookstore, a health store, all connected together, where it would be one, and you would also create this wealth of media, almost like a multimedia consciousness center, where it would just be like a center where people would be creating conscious videos, creating music that's spiritually enlightened, and not that it's going to be too woo-woo, but it's just going to be applicable so that people can say, wow, I'm waking up.
That's amazing. What age do you feel?
I feel about 27.
And why 27? That is very specific. Usually someone picks a round number, 20, 30, 27.
27, just, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking, wow, because people kept saying, oh, you don't look your age, blah, 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 and then when I tell them my age, they freak out.
What is your age?
I think I'm like 53.
You've lost track?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's okay, I'll allow you to be there.
Okay, so I think it's just really a choice in your mind that keeps you young, and it is also the food you eat and the mindset that you are living every day.
And 27 isn't quite yet 30,
Right.
which can sound old. So it's a good number.
It's a good number.
I like that number.
It's a lucky number.
I might choose that number.
Choose that number.
All right, so let me ask you, what do you know now that you wish you would have known then?
I think knowing that we are constantly moving forward, and I think if I had the information with more clarity back then, I would have probably moved on it quicker to maybe, I don't know. Well, it's not that I regret anything. I think it's more of just knowledge is power, and I think maybe knowing more back then would, I don't know what it would do, really. I mean, I think I would just be, maybe have a different consciousness about something new, but I don't think I would change any direction.
I'm sensing that maybe, is this along the lines of what you're thinking, that maybe you wished you would have trusted yourself more, maybe your instincts to do things quicker, or maybe
probably
out of the gate?
Instead of searching, I would have gotten it and
Moved.
said, okay, this is the deal here.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, but I think it's an evolution of learning, you know, and not having regrets, but really making sense of why we did what we did, you know, and it doesn't mean that it was a bad thing or a bad choice. You know, it's almost like we have to let go with the vibration of love and create love within our current lives now, and know that no matter where you are in your life, you can always manifest more love. And love is really the frequency of eating, of being confident, of everything is possible. I mean, that's the good thing about what's happening in the world right now. Everything is possible. And that if you think it and really hold that intention, everything just comes to you in divine synchronicity. And it's just believing it and receiving it.
That's
if you
amazing.
believe it, you will receive it.
That's amazing, because my last question for you, I think you might have just answered it, because you are an author. But let's say you are an author on a famous quote about health. What would that quote be? And you might have just said it in that verbiage you just laid out.
I think the quote would be, in order to believe something, you must trust it and really believe it to the point, and you will receive it. In anything you do, whether it's eating an apple or saying I'm going to get nourishment from this, or I'm blessed to have the food in front of me, or because we're really lucky. I mean, we're so lucky to be having the opportunity to have clean water, clean air, to live in a country that is not, stopping us from really doing what we each want to do. So we have to be inspired. We have to be grateful about what we're doing and take that gratefulness and say, okay, let's create change. And we'll create it through food, through relationships with people, healing the past, and really just owning our power. And personal power is being the wholeness of food, mind, body, and spirit.
Well, I'm lucky because I've had you in my life for 32 years.
And we're going to be lifetime forever.
I know, and I want to thank you, really, for sharing with us, all of us, about your journey and all of your Kerekt conversation answers. So thank you so much for joining us, Gary. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I love you.
Toni.